power, legacy, the right to rule. Words we read in history books. But have you ever stopped to wonder who decides these things? Who crowns a king? And more importantly, why? So now let's go back to Christmas Day in the year of our Lord 800. Pope St. Leo III made a choice that would echo for centuries. He placed a crown on the head of a king, a moment that would reshape the Christian world. It was the beginning of something new. Years later, something unexpected came to light with mysterious transcripts and a sacred relic buried for centuries. Now, this discovery opened the door to miracles and divine timing. Now, was it a coincidence or was it revealed just at the right moment? So let me grab my trusted magnifying glass, because today's story isn't just about a pope or a king. It's about mystery and meaning, about the quiet ways heaven touches earth, when and where we least expect it. So now, place yourself at this scene. Step back in time. It's the year of our Lord 800. A cold December morning. You're inside the great walls of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Imagine the air is thick with incense. The candlelight flickers. Chants echo from the marble columns. A crowd starts to gather. Nobles in cloaks, bishops in gold investments, and the faithful, they're drawn by the tolling of bells. Now, at the center stands Pope Leo III. His robes glow in the candlelight. His expression is calm, yet focused, watching as Charlemagne kneels before God. Now, let's zoom in on Pope Leo. In his hands, he holds a golden crown as he stands in solemn silence. Now, what's going through his mind? Maybe he hesitates, but not out of weakness. He knows the weight of this moment. What he's about to do isn't just a simple, you could say, crowning of a king. It is about shaping the future of Europe. But what if this isn't God's will? What if he is crossing a line he was never meant to step over? Those quiet, tightening doubts begin to wrap around his conscience. Now that's what scruples feel like. They're not loud or dramatic, just small fears creeping in when you're afraid of doing something wrong, even when all you want is to do what is right. Now tell me, have you ever felt that? Have you ever faced with a decision? You're not sure if it's the right one? Not because you want to rebel, but because you honestly want to please God. And you're scared of getting it wrong. Maybe Pope Leo feels that too. We can imagine it. And in this moment, what would he do? He turns to our Blessed Mother in silence. He breathes deeply and interiorly asks the Mother of God for guidance. Then he lifts his eyes to heaven, and with confidence, he acts. He doesn't know what the outcome is going to be. But trust and confidence, very often, or almost always, they walk where certainty cannot walk. Pope Leo, he moves forward and places the crown on the head of Charlemagne. And then the imperial robe is draped over the shoulders of the man now declared emperor. And just like that, a new Christian empire is born. This moment marks the start of what we now call the Holy Roman Empire. For the first time in a very long time, different kingdoms are united under one ruler, with the most important thing, the faith in the center. And as you can imagine, the results are just huge, enormous. Peace will begin to spread. Schools, churches, and monasteries will grow. People, they feel part of something much bigger than themselves. Something guided by both leadership and faith. And it all starts here with a crown, a Christmas morning, and a Pope who said yes to God's plan. This ceremonial moment carried a very important message. Pope Leo ensured that the church had a voice in the future of the empire. So, as you can imagine, when he crowned Charlemagne, he wasn't just blessing a ruler. He was making a very bold statement. And what was that statement? The statement was, through the church flows true authority. It was the beginning of a new era of Christian unity. Now, if the emperors who followed Charlemagne had lived with the same faith, reverence, and respect for the church, I can guarantee you that the history of the world would be very different. And for sure, it'd be much more peaceful and blessed. But anyways, that is a different story for another time. So what does real leadership look like when you're unsure, you're afraid, or feel completely unqualified? Can God still work through someone who doesn't feel, you could say, ready, but chooses to trust anyway? Sometimes it's not, you could say, a lack of faith that holds us back, but the subtle fear of getting it wrong, even when all you want is to do what is right. I'm sure you felt like that too. You know, that anxious tension, the inner struggle of scruples. In a world full of pressure and impossible choices, it is very easy to feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But let me tell you something. You're not alone. When the path feels uncertain, when fear and scruples try to paralyze you, do what the saints before us have done. And what did they do? They turned to our Blessed Mother. She's never far away. She's always at our side. She's a mother who guides, protects, and brings clarity when nothing else makes any sense. If your heart longs for peace, courage, and confidence in God's will, let me recommend something for you. Make your consecration to Mary. Place everything that you have, your hopes, your fears, work, even your future. Place it into her hands. And I guarantee you, she will not let you down. Sign up today. And for that, I'm going to leave a link to this free consecration in the description below. You know, while history remembers the crowns and those grandiose ceremonial moments, God often honors the small, intentional ones that no one notices. Because some of the most important things happen when no one is looking. So let me ask you, what about in your life? Do you ever feel like, say, things you do every day, they don't really matter because no one sees them? Here's the truth. God sees them. And He values those small, hidden choices much more than you could ever imagine. Take, for example, a small but significant choice made by the newly crowned emperor. Tucked away among the treasures of the 9th century was a small gold reliquary. In it held a soil said to be soaked with the blood of Saint Stephen, the first martyr. Now, can you imagine that? A wonderful, wonderful relic. And for years it was kept in the church of San Lorenzo in Rome, until Pope Leo III entrusted it to Charlemagne. It was a symbolic gesture that made a very strong statement. True authority is built on sacrifice. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering, what did Charlemagne do with this relic? This wonderful, precious relic. Well, he placed it beneath his marble throne, unnoticed by many, but not by God. And he placed it there as a daily reminder that beneath every crown lies a cross. Now, just a few years before Charlemagne's coronation, far from Rome, something incredible happened. Pope Leo, he received an astonishing news. And what was this news that he received? The relics of Saint Anne, the mother of our blessed mother. Those relics had been discovered. And this remarkable event happened during the consecration of a church in southern France, a land once torn by war, but now had regained its peace. And it was during that consecration that a beautiful, wonderful miracle unfolded. It began with a 14-year-old boy. He was blind, deaf, and mute since his birth. And suddenly, during the ceremony, he stood up near the altar, and no one knew what was happening, you can imagine. Until he pointed to a stone step. Charlemagne, he was present at this consecration, and he ordered that stone to be removed. And what did they find beneath that stone step? There was a hidden passage. And at the end of this passage glowed a lamp guarding a sealed crypt. Now here, starting the miracle, the boy spoke for the first time in his life. What did he say? He said this, "It is she, it is she." So inside the crypt, wrapped in an oriental cloth, were the relics marked with these words, "Here lies the body of Saint Anne, mother of the glorious Virgin Mary." Now you can imagine that must have been for everybody there, a huge joy to find those. And Charlemagne right away wrote to Pope Leo. The miracle was recorded, and the relics were venerated from that day forward. And it became the very first great shrine to Saint Anne in the West. And as you can imagine, many, many miracles followed the discovery of those great relics. Now, let's pause for a second. Have you ever thought about the timing of things in your life? How sometimes it doesn't make sense until later. Maybe something you thought was buried or forgotten suddenly returns in a way that you never expected. Sometimes the answers we've been searching for are there right before us, right beneath our own feet, waiting for the right moment when God says it's time. And as Pope Leo and Charlemagne were called to participate in a moment that, say, shaped history, we too, you and I, we're invited to be part of something much greater. It's an invitation to trust beyond what we can see, to believe that even when the path is uncertain, grace is at work behind us. Now, as we reflect on this era, long past, we're reminded that our own lives are part of this unfolding story. One where heaven meets earth, and where even the smallest act of faith can echo throughout eternity. And talking about the right moment, now I'm going to reveal to you the antidote to scruples. And with my trusted magnifying glass, do small things that nobody sees and offer them out of love for God. And when we do them as someone that is consecrated to our Blessed Mother, our scruples will very soon disappear, because scruples are a sign that we need to purify our love for God a little bit more, or quite a bit more. Love God for who He is and not for any gain that we might get out or fear of punishment. So for that, make your consecration to our Blessed Mother, like I mentioned. The link is in the description of this video. What happens when the weight of history falls on the shoulders of someone the world never expected? In this next video, we're going to meet a humble soul thrown into a storm of politics, betrayal, and faith, reminding us that God doesn't always call the qualified. He qualifies those that He calls. Until then, keep your eyes open to the signs God places in your life. Just like those relics of St. Anne, they may be closer than you think. So, this brings to an end my time here with you. Hope to see you in the next video. God bless you and Salve Maria.